Okay, let's get started. So first off, the disclaimer. This presentation will include information about food, hunger, and eating habits associated with it. However, the information provided in this talk is not intended to take the place of medical advice or treatment. So if you do have similar struggles, it is important to seek professional medical help. Let's get started. Imagine this scenario. Ada just finished her daily workout, and it's definitely an exhausting day. Just as she stepped out of the gym, she spotted a hot dog stand in the distance. Now she's hesitating. To eat or not to eat, that becomes a problem. One voice in her mind is saying, just go home. You got your nutritious juice and you got a healthy sandwich. Well, another voice is battling. But the hot dog just looks so delicious. And I'm kind of hungry, you know? As we can guess, the latter voice usually wins. Why do we get hungry? And why is sometimes just so hard for us to say no to a delicious temptation? Just like cars that needs fuels, our brain needs glucose to function properly. Where does glucose come from? Food. So now that you know for anyone to do physical exercises, staying attentive during lecture, or simply staying alive, food is so important in our life. But how does hunger actually work? We can probably find some answers by looking at some chemicals in our body. I have a hamster, and he loves exercising. After running several kilometers on his wheel on a day, he has used up the glucose in his body, or what we call a glucose depletion. So he stops and starts pondering, I'm getting hungry a little bit. Oh, that looks good. So what is happening here is the secretion of neuropeptide Y, or what we call NPY, which is inducing our food-seeking behavior. So what does an activated NPY look like? For my hamster, the answer is eat, and eating more. But we know he's not going to eat until the end of the world. At some point, he's going to feel a stretch in his stomach, and this elicits another great hormone called CCK, which eventually stops him from eating. Let's just connect what we talked about so far. We live our life burning this important fuel, glucose, in our life, and as the glucose level decreases, NPY is secreted, making us want to eat. However, we're not going to eat forever. As we had eaten enough, CCK is going to be secreted, making us full and stop eating. This is not the end of the story though, because CCK only contributes to a short-term satiation, which basically means you're going to get hungry just after a while. What contributes to long-term satiation? Meet adipose tissue, aka your fat. Adipose tissue is not only good at storing a huge amount of energy in your body, it can also elicit a hormone called leptin, which counteract with the effect with the NPY and make you reduce your food-seeking behavior. Here I want to shout out to my fat who had my back throughout this whole talk without a breakfast. Not recommended though. But do we eat only when we're hungry? The obvious answer is no. Look at this piece of cheesecake with a squirt of cream and some glittering strawberry jam on it. Doesn't it just look delicious compared to this plain-looking, probably a little bit boring salad? But why do we feel this way? Blame your evolution. Back to 1,000 years ago, food is actually a really scarce resource. So food that contains high calories and high sugars may even be equal to a higher survival likelihood. So through time, people sort of learn that by prioritizing food that give us the most energy reserves, we can use them in an emergency situation. In another word, we're adapted to love high-calorie food. However, the problem for nowadays is not that you have not enough to eat, it is you have too much to eat. This is something that you will see whenever you walk into a random grocery store. There's just so many food items to choose from. And our evolution is not prepared for this. So driven by our natural adaptation, some people tend to overconsume food items, even if it is out of their ability to metabolize them. And this is becoming an increasing health concern for a lot of people today. So, can you relate to this? You're studying for a midterm in the midnight, and you start to stare at this bag of Cheetos on your desk. Doesn't it just look crunchy and delicious? But why do we feel this way? So highly processed food that are intentionally made with high sugar, high fat, and high sodium is making it just seems irresistible, exploiting our natural perception of food. What about this cute donut? By making it really visually appealing, doesn't it just sometimes tempt us to get an extra? Or you may be familiar with some family combos provided by some fast food restaurants. With only $1 addition, you're gonna actually get a larger portion of food. But now when I reflected back on myself, from when do I unintentionally eat more and more unhealthily than I actually need to? With evolution, is it impossible for us to keep a balanced and healthy lifestyle? That only our illusion seems intimidating. Do we have any solutions? Fear not. We can gain some insight by going back to our chemical flow chart. So when your NPY is listening, you can just stop for a while and ponder for yourself. Am I really hungry? Or am I simply being tempted by some fast food industry tricks? And when you go on having your food, take your time, don't worry, and enjoy it. By doing this, you're going to give enough time for CCK to listen, telling you when exactly you should stop. And if you're in the middle of lecture and just can't immediately rush for some food, don't worry. Your adipose tissue will got it back for you because it's great ability in reserving backup energy until you get your next refill. So now by listening to this, you may realize that by listening and following our natural signals in our body, it actually have a balanced plan for us made already. Sometimes battling around evolution and our health and fitness and well-being can seem a little bit intimidating. But with our knowledge and insight gained from chemical senses and hunger, we can be a hero in this battle. And my hamster is supporting you. Thank you.